Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to I Care About You, the podcast where we deepen our understanding of ourselves and others through reflection and exploration of concepts, different ideas, modalities, dogmas that exist in the world, and how we can use that wisdom to live happier, more joyful lives. I'm your host, Juliana J., and today on the pod, we're talking about tending your inner sanctuary, a place to pause, restore, and deepen your sense of inner peace. I am actually really excited about this podcast. I was just working on some journaling prompts involving your inner sanctuary for my upcoming book, Journaling Through Uncertainty and Change. I'll keep you posted on when that book will come out. It's still in progress at the moment. So I was working on that today. I really love these prompts about inner sanctuary. And it kind of prompted me to move forward with this podcast that I'm really excited about, because today we are going to co-create a refuge within you, a space that can hold stress, spark insight, and recharge your spirit. Think of it as your personal sanctuary, not a physical retreat, but a calm inner peace you can return to anytime you need to, and you can return to it again and again. And I want to say that the inner sanctuary that you have will change and shift throughout time. It might look different or be different at certain times of your life, or you might be spending more time in it at some times than others. I use a practice that's of the inner sanctuary as a place where I go during meditation to figure out problems or situations that I'm working on. And sometimes just sitting down at the desk I imagine in my sanctuary to be and really contemplating things I'm working on it'll just sporadically become what I need it to become. And it's so wonderful. So I really want to share this with you on so many ways. So what is an inner sanctuary? The core idea is that it's not a actual physical location, although some people have worked on an inner sanctuary and then created a flavor of it somewhere in their house, which I think is amazing. It's more of a felt quality, a place of refuge inside of you. It's immune to exterior storms. So think of it like when there's this big upheaval happening or something's happening, it's a place you can go to where there's peace and calm while you take a pause. Now, I'm not saying this becomes a place you escape to all the time to avoid hard conversations or critical conversations, or to avoid a situation that is challenging for you, or just to avoid life in general. And I want to make a comment here of, as a meditator, I've been doing it for years and years now. I teach it to folks when they request. And for me, meditation can become really addicting because it's such a lovely space to be in once you are able to kind of create that for yourself. But you have to be mindful that it's not a place that you're going to live in day to day, because it's so much more amazing than your day-to-day outside world. You have to go out into the world. You're in this physical body on this planet at this moment, and you need to engage with it. The sanctuary is more of a place to retreat to go to when you need a pause, when you need to think, reflect, when you need to just rest, which is such a challenging thing in our society now. We don't, in Western culture anyway, here in the United States, we do not take rest very seriously. In fact, people make fun of you if you try to get 8 hours of sleep, or as some studies show, women need 10 hours of sleep. You get made fun of, or you need to take just a personal day. You have to feel guilty about that, or something's off with you, or wrong, or you're not measuring up. And the sanctuary is a place where you can go to rest and find relief from all of that rhetoric, which frankly is just stupid, because you're in a physical body. You do need rest. It is one of the number one things that you need to heal from illness, to stay away from illness, to be strong and to nourish your body and to take care of your mind. You do need rest. So let go of that silly idea that it's somehow weakness. The other thing about the inner sanctuary, at its heart, are mindfulness, self-compassion, and boundary setting, which act like roots, soil, and bark of your resilient tree. So there's an element in your sanctuary of mindfulness, of being there in the moment. This is it, at this moment. This is it, not the future, not the past, this. It's also a place where you can harbor self compassion, which is really hard for a lot of us to find because we're not taught to foster that within ourselves growing up. In fact, that would be another thing that sometimes can be defined as a weakness is having compassion for yourself, which again is just a way of holding you back. Self compassion is extremely important in a healthy life, and as is boundary setting, which is a very hard practice. Boundary setting is a hard practice. And I have other podcasts on boundary setting, and we'll do more on that. But those are kind of the pillars of your resiliency tree. They're the roots, they're the soil that's feeding the tree. They're the roots that are gathering up what's necessary. They're the bark that's protecting you from a lot of things that are happening in your world. So, why tend this inner room? Because across history and culture, humans have sought sanctuary to stay grounded amid chaos. Your sanctuary, your ability to just ground yourself in yourself is so important, especially now. Life is so fast paced, so many things are happening. There's so much uncertainty and change. And if you can't ground yourself, you tend to find yourself just floating on the waters of scarcity, fear. You think storms are coming all the time. You don't have a good control of your own life and how you feel about things and where things are going. And you start to become lost. You're not able to really grab onto something and hold on when times become turbulent or challenging. And that's where the inner sanctuary comes in. Research shows that caring for such an inner haven reduces stress, improves your mood, and enhances well being. And it's so, so, so true. If you can create the ability to pause and go inward, you will find that you're much more grounded. You don't react so much more. You can take a moment to figure out, well, how do I want to respond? Who am I as a person? And how do I want to show up in this situation? And what do I need to advocate before? And what boundaries do I need to have? If you're always just reacting to life, whatever is happening, you can sometimes make it worse, or you're not being heard in the way you want to be heard. And sometimes we don't even know how we feel about a situation until we contemplate it and sit with it and really think about, why did it touch these points of anger for us? Why did it create this feeling inside of us? Why did it create this turmoil? These are all things we should be spending a little bit more time with, but we tend, because life is so fast paced and we're also pulled in every direction all the time, to just react at things to get it out of the way. And in doing that, we often don't accomplish what we're hoping to accomplish. So being able to go inward is so helpful. So what tools do you need to cultivate the sanctuary? Sanctuary meditation, as it were. Now, I know a lot of people have a very hard time with meditation because they've tried it in the past and they haven't been successful, but there's all different ways to do meditation. And you don't have to be as rigid as you're probably thinking that you need to be. What I'm talking about here is being able to anchor in your breath and to visualize a space. Maybe it's a garden, maybe it's a temple, maybe it's a forest, and dwell there for a few minutes. By practicing what many traditions call sanctuary meditation, it's a way to touch into your mental refuge, even in busy lives. So what I'm talking about here is something I think that we all do, that you see happen, is modeled to you a lot in movies and television and even books. Something happens and the characters will take a deep breath, or something's happening and you'll see someone take a deep breath and sigh out a deep breath. That is just a natural response to a situation of taking a pause, of grounding yourself. You don't have to get really fancy with breath work and do all these things, although it's great, so you should try it. But sometimes we don't have all the time in the day, and we might have had more challenging experiences with breathing. Sometimes that can be triggering for folks for a whole variety of reasons. But just anchoring in your breath in a small way can also work. Instead of just reacting, you get it, say you're at work at your desk and you get an email that is infuriating to you. Instead of immediately pounding back a message, just sigh it out for a second. Just take a pause for a second. Just put some space between that initial emotion and yourself and your response. just take a deep breath. Visualize this sanctuary, this safe space. It might be, like I said, a forest, a temple, a garden, a desert, a boat on the ocean. It's really up to you. I usually visualize a beautiful redwood forest that ends right at a sandy beach with water. And I will sometimes sit on the edge of the forest, sometimes in the sand, sometimes dip my toes in the ocean. And I do also have created in my mind a cabin in these woods. So that's kind of my sanctuary space. And I go to the different parts of that sanctuary depending upon what's happening. Maybe I just need to look at the trees and the green sky above, and I might lay in some grass by the trees. Maybe I need to look across the vast expanse of the ocean as I contemplate something. Or maybe I need to feel cozy and safe in my cabin, sitting on a comfortable chair by a fire. It's really how you are going to create that sanctuary. So take some time to really think about what is anchoring for you, what is soothing for you, what is safe for you, what is helpful for you or would be helpful for you as you're making decisions or you're thinking about next moves or you're just taking a rest. What would be comfortable? If you're not comfortable in hammocks, it shouldn't be there in your inner sanctuary, but maybe a super soft, cozy bed is. Then there's this soothing part of this practice. It's about self-soothing, grounding yourself, like I said, in you can use the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 sensory technique that's often discussed in therapy. You can speak to yourself kindly, like a dear friend. I talk about this a lot. We should all be treating ourselves like we are our own best friend. So talk to yourself as you would your BFF. What would you say to them that was soothing and helpful in this moment? And offer comfort rather than avoidance. It's okay to go, okay, that email was triggering. I need to step back and take a break. I do have to respond to it, but I'm not going to in this moment. I'm going to collect my thoughts and then I'll respond. So you don't avoid it like, never coming back to it and then avoiding the person in the hallway and in the parking lot for the next month and a half. You're not using this technique for avoidance, as I said earlier. You're using it to just pause and collect your thoughts and to give yourself some soothing, some help as you would a dear friend. You're putting your arm around yourself. Some people do physical things like give themselves a self hug or sometimes touching your cheek. I do this a lot. I touch both my cheeks and I put my chin in the palms. And that's really helpful and soothing to me because it kind of mimics what maybe my mom used to do or what I would do to someone who needed comfort that I knew very well. You want to bring self-compassion to this practice. When your inner judgment arises, you have to pause. Remind yourself that imperfections are just part of being human and that compassion supports growth more than harshness. If you're really harsh with yourself and you have a horrible inner critic, which it's very easy to do, and you have a lot of negative self-talk that you haven't really realized that you have, and you're really into self-sabotaging and you don't even know what that is, then those aspects of the inner dialogue that you have are in the way of you finding compassion for yourself and compassion for the others. Like people who get immediately mad at people for having a different opinion, for doing something out in the world, like stepping in front of you or littering or all the whole host of things people can do that you make up this really negative story about. A lot of it has to do with driving. That's not necessarily true. And to be able to work on compassion outside of yourself, if that's more helpful for you first, like, oh, that person really didn't mean to do that. They were just caught up with taking care of their child and they didn't realize they dropped that garbage. Or maybe they have something bigger on their mind at the time. Giving other folks the benefit of the doubt allows you to create that. Sometimes it's an easier framework because people have a hard time with self-compassion sometimes because they're really punishing themselves and they don't know how to do it and they think it's a weakness. So sometimes if you start with others, giving others the benefit of the doubt and some of your compassion, you can then learn how to give yourself that same compassion. Like, oh, I didn't mean to drop that or break that. I'm like totally break so many things all the time because I don't pay close attention. And I used to think this was just a horrible, stupid thing that I do. And then I just realized, like, I can have compassion for myself. I'm really bummed I broke my favorite coffee cup. And I didn't mean to do it. It was an accident. And I can have compassion for myself rather than beating myself up about it and think to myself, well, maybe I need to look before I attempt to put something down on the countertop to make sure the countertop's actually there. And the other thing you can do with this practice is journaling and creative expression, writing, drawing, or tending a metaphorical garden on paper lets dense thoughts untangle and life emerge. So true. That's the whole reason I'm writing a journaling book. In fact, I have a whole series of journaling books that'll be coming out because journaling is such a powerful tool to learning about yourself, to getting over things, to learning about others, to really teasing out what is actually in your brain because you might think you know, but you really don't. So, writing and drawing, tending metaphorical gardens or real gardens, tending your own house or a pretend house, all those types of things kind of help you untangle what's going on in your mind and helps new ideas, thoughts, beliefs emerge, things that you've kind of kept down. Now that you have a little bit of perspective, let's do a guided sanctuary ritual. It's going to be pretty small. So let's start with your body and breath. Close your eyes or soften your gaze if that's more accessible to you. Inhale deeply through your lungs and slowly exhale. And repeat slowly, inhaling. Maybe you hold it for a second at the top and then you exhale. And releasing the tension from your head to your feet. Do a body scan, releasing all the muscles in your head, releasing the muscles in your shoulders, releasing the muscles in your arms and your hands, relaxing through your torso, relaxing through your legs, relaxing through your feet. And then take a moment to feel grounded. Think of 3 things you can feel right now. Maybe it's the chair beneath you. Maybe it's the air on your skin, how your feet touch the floor. Maybe it's your clothing. Ground into those feelings of what you can actually feel supporting you right now. Imagine stepping into your inner sanctuary. Look around. See the textures. Notice the colors. Notice the lighting. Notice what you hear and feel. What makes it so calming. Notice where you are, what part of the world you're in. Are you inside? Are you outside? Can you feel the air? Can you feel warmth? Can you feel cool? Can you feel cozy? Do you see artwork on the walls? Imagine it all as you look around. We'll take a brief moment for you to look around your sanctuary and see what's there and what's outside of any windows that you see or any staircases that you see. Where do they go? What is behind the window? What can you see beyond your sanctuary? I like to imagine the ground on my feet. Is it soft grass, warm sand, wood floors, carpeting? What are the smells? The ocean air through the eucalyptus trees, your favorite cake baking, coffee, flowers. What do you hear? Birds in the distance, a gentle breeze, laughter. The cat. Listen to your space and gently ask, what does this place need from me today? What do I need? Then listen for a moment with openness. Treat that voice as your best friend. What does it need? And then give it to yourself, even if it is just a simple hug. I know what you're going through. Or maybe it's some advice. Listen deeply to the most quietest voice. What is that voice telling you? When you're ready, you can come back to the present. Maybe you wiggle your fingers and toes. Take a few more cleansing breaths. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes, slowly bringing yourself back to the present moment. At this point, it's important to jot down a few things that might have come up: images, feelings, insights. Sometimes we just get flashes of things that might come up. Jot it down. You'll forget it if you don't. It's kind of like a dream. It'll just dissipate quickly. So you see how quickly you can do that ritual. We could have done it for a much longer time. Sometimes I do guided meditations with folks, and that's around 10 or 15 minutes, and it's a lot more elaborate. But this is something you could do at your desk while you're waiting to pick up the kids, while you're walking, while you're on the bus or public transportation, while you're, or any particular time. You can also do this before things like meetings, before things like you're going to Thanksgiving and you're worried about a family dynamic, or a whole host of things. You're going to meet new people you've never met before, or someone you haven't seen in a long time, or if you have anxiety about going to new places, something like that, or even things like going to the grocery store or getting in the car and driving after an incident has occurred. You can do this for just a few moments, like a minute or two, because once you get your sanctuary down about what it looks like, you can go to it pretty quickly and kind of ground yourself pretty quickly. You can do a longer body scan or a shorter body scan, depending upon the time that you have. And sometimes that's really helpful because in doing that, you can kind of figure out where the situation is in your body, which is a whole other topic we'll talk about. But oftentimes when something really challenging happens, we might get a stomach ache or feel that pain somewhere in our body, and we can identify it. We can work with it. Oh, okay, I am feeling shame because this is what shame feels like. I am feeling sadness because this is what sadness feels like. Because so often we're very out of touch with what our feelings are, where they show up in our bodies, and we can't really identify them. So we don't know we're feeling guilty or sad or fearful until the situation is over. And so being able to do that kind of helps you tap into, where is this feeling within my body? And this isn't about disassociating. You're not doing this in the middle of a challenging conversation or something like that. But when it's your turn to speak, you might take a breath, or you might do it before you go into the conversation or after the conversation. Oftentimes, that's what happens to me. I find myself in a situation, I'm not really sure how I feel about it. It's working on through whatever it's going to be. And I don't really realize how I feel about it until later when I'm doing this exercise. I'd suggest before you kind of start doing these exercises, just close your eyes and imagine what your sanctuary would be like. And maybe you write that down, jot that down, draw that, whatever it might be, so that you really you really have it in your mind about what it is, and you don't spend all this time with this exercise trying to figure out, well, do I want to be at the beach, or do I want to be in a house, or do I want to be here or there, or what is this thing? It's really fun to create these sanctuaries in your mind. It's also fun and playful. And I want you to remember that, because it's really important to bring fun, joy, playfulness into life as we're navigating these really challenging things. It's so important to have balance. So even though you might be grappling with something very tragic or really challenging or extremely hard, and you have a lot of fear around it, it's okay to have a moment of joy. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to have that other side of the feelings, because you need to for balance. It's important for your health. It's not that you're thinking light of the subject. It's that you need a little break from it. You can't live in it 24/7. It'll just eat you alive. So weaving this sanctuary ritual into your daily life, you can choose your time to anchor. It can be a morning, lunchtime, bedtime. You can pick a moment you can reliably show up in for yourself. That is at least 2 to 3 minutes, just so you have a buffer, depending upon, you might only do it for a minute or 30 seconds as you're starting out. But just so you have the time to really settle, do your practice, and then come back into the world and jot some notes down or whatnot. So give yourself some time. I do this regularly at lunchtime because it only takes a couple minutes, but I also do it anytime something comes up where I need to really think about it, or I need some comfort, or I need to feel like everything's going to be okay. So there's both times you kind of schedule for it, and there's also times where you just need to do it in the moment because something's presented itself. Create micro rituals around this. That really helps. Like, get a cup of tea beside your comfy chair, or surround yourself with houseplants, or sit out in nature, or start with a favorite affirmation, or put an affirmation or this ritual on a Post-it note on your desk so you remember to do it. It's just clues to set an inner tone. It's that you're giving this ritual enough respect and reverence that you are giving yourself those things too. You are important enough to light a candle for, to have a special journal for having certain songs, for however that ritual pans out. You are worthy. Your inner dialogue with yourself and shifting that into something that is working with you and co-creating your life with you, not against you, is very valuable and important. So putting a ritual around it kind of gives it that importance, and it gives you that importance to yourself, because often we don't think we're that important to our own selves, which is sad, but it's very much how modern society or capitalism wants us to feel about ourselves. And it's just giving yourself that little cozy blanket, that little great incense that you just lit, that cup of tea that you love. And start to build a toolkit around this. Have a journal that you write in, a special journal. Maybe you do need to go get some candles or a houseplant or some special tea. What about a calming playlist you can play while doing this? Maybe you have a tiny stone or something you hold in your hand that you can work around in your hands as you're doing this, because sometimes we need that, just that anchoring of a tiny stone or something. Whatever lights up your sanctuary is important. I have little tea lights that I use. I have candles. I have incense. I have specialty. I have playlists. I have those fairy lights. I have lots of things to create the mood when you're getting ready to kind of do this and you're at your set time. But I also have tiny things at my desk that help me, like the stone, like a little heart rock, all kinds of little things like that that just kind of help you settle. You might share parts of your sanctuary with a trusted friend or family member. Just set boundaries and let it remain your place. So you might tell others about this practice. You might do it together. It's really powerful to do it together and then discuss it afterwards, especially if you're both kind of grappling with the same thing. Like parents, you're both kind of grappling with the same thing. Like when you're taking care of older parents and trying to figure out how to make that work. When you're both in demanding jobs, just doing that together with someone is really powerful and helpful and kind of keeps you on track to doing it and working with it. And it can be a accountability buddy situation where someone can remind you when you dip into negative self-talk or feeling bad about yourself or feeling that you're not good enough or not enough. And it really helps with those thoughts about feeling like you're alone. I hope this practice helps you. You have to tell me how it goes and what you do to ground when something happens, what you do with your inner sanctuary. What does your inner sanctuary look like? We're all a community at I Care About You, and community helps each other out. So if you post something or you say something or you tell me something, I can respond to you. Others can respond to you. We can have a conversation about it. I can make a podcast about it. I can make a Substack about it. All different kinds of ways we can interact with this so that we all show up for each other. Because in the end, that's really what makes life incredible, is those connections, that community, that love for one another is really important. And I want to thank you for creating this sacred space with me today and give you a few thoughts carrying forward. If this resonated with you, please share it with somebody else. Please do that. I think it's really, really important. It's part of the whole community aspect. And I want you to know that your sanctuary is always in reach. It's always there for you. And it needs tending and it's not about perfection. This is about a safe space for you to go to just contemplate, reflect, work on things you want to work on, like negative self-talk or always feeling like you're inadequate or any of those things. And keep it simple. Antidotes to stress can be small, little tiny things that you do. It can be a breath, like I said. It can be a rock. It can be a phrase or an affirmation. It can be a certain page that you've written things on. It can be a scent, anything. Just keep those antidotes to stress really simple. And protect your inner sanctuary wisely. Say no to what drains you so that you can say yes to what builds you. So, so important. And the inner sanctuary is a great place to work on boundaries, what your boundaries are, why you need to have it, is it flexible, not flexible, all the things associated with boundaries. If this practice spoke to you, be sure to pause between hard times and hold it again. Each return to your sanctuary deepens the roots, and someday in confusion or fear, your inner sanctuary will become solid ground to you, a place to go. And as always, my friends, know that I love you and I support you, and you're not alone. Wishing you sanctuary within and without. Take a deep breath and carry your peace into your rest of your day. And if you are so interested, take a moment to consider purchasing Reasons to Live. It's my book that's out now. There's a lot of different things you can do to create sanctuary in your life and to work with times that aren't so hearts and flowers, rosy colored, because life's going to give you that. And it's important to know how to work with that yourself and also how to help others. And that's what that book's really about in the end of the day. So I hope you will give it a gander. I'll leave the link in the description. So know that I love you and you're not alone and you got this.